Breaking news, another large and deadly earthquake overnight.
This time in Ecuador in South America. We want you to look at this video. Shoppers in a store, they are holding boxes above their heads as the earthquake sirens wail.
And this comes on the heels of two big quakes in Japan, where rescuers are searching for survivors right now amidst terrifying aftershocks.
So we have now seen 3 earthquakes in 3 days in what is known as the Ring of Fire. It's that hot zone that forms a horseshoe around the Pacific Ocean. In a moment, we're going to ask an expert, could these events trigger a quake for us here at home? But we're going to start right now with ABC's Matt Gutman, who is in Japan for us this morning. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Paul and Dan. This is the hardest hit town in the entirety of southern Japan. House after house turned into mounds of debris. And worse news for Japanese, there have been 450 aftershocks here, and there are still people missing in the debris.
This morning, that army of rescuers in blue scouring rivers of mud for the missing. A last-ditch effort of recovery after landslides triggered by that spasm of earthquakes swallowed bridges, roads, and homes. Mother Nature seemingly rising up against southern Japan. The biggest quakes both striking in the dead of night. Thursday and Saturday so violent they sent the surveillance cameras spinning. Japan's most active volcano roaring to life. And the rain triggering those mudslides and hampering rescues. The town of Mashiki, the hardest hit. House after house crumpled. It was here that this scene unfolded 2 days ago. A 9-month-old baby girl trapped for hours. Plucked out of the wreckage and the darkness and gingerly cradled from rescuer to rescuer.
Rescuers are back at this house where they plucked that 9-month-old baby girl from the rubble here. Now, they found that there is some smoke coming out from inside. They're trying to make sure that nobody is left under this rubble.
It was then that a man came up to us. He was the baby's grandfather. Her name, Baby Miku.
So you knew that she was alive because you were able to reach in there and touch her, and she grabbed your hand.
He said they brought her out, and he told me he then wept. He told us we could see her. We hopped in his tiny pickup, and he drove us through cracked streets. And as we walked up to the shelter...
Are you the father? Yes. Hi. Hello, baby. This is the baby, the miracle baby.
All chubby cheeks, full of energy, and completely unscathed.
Baby Miku's family told me they lost everything in the earthquake, but then they said they have everything, their family. But like about 100,000 others, they are homeless tonight, and hundreds of thousands of others are without power and without water. Paula.
All right, Matt, so much devastation. And just one day after the 2 quakes in Japan, the third hits Ecuador. As we just mentioned, both zones are along the so-called Ring of Fire. It's in the basin of the Pacific. About 90% of the world's earthquakes occur. It looks like a horseshoe. It's 25,000 miles, 452 volcanoes, and a continuous series of plates that over time shift and cause earthquakes. And joining us now, Professor of Physics, Michio Kaku. Professor Kaku, thanks for joining us this morning.
Glad to be here.
So we're talking about 3 major earthquakes in a short period of time. Does one trigger another?
The short answer is no.
Okay.
It turns out that these plates move pretty much independently of the other along the Ring of Fire. However, neighboring plates can in fact link up, like the Cascadia Fault off Seattle can actually trigger earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault. So we're not totally out of the woods.
All right. Is there any sort of pattern here that we can detect?
The short answer again is no.
Okay.
However, this is a dress rehearsal for the big one. There is a time bomb in the west coast of the United States. So it's not a matter of if. It's a question of when the Cascadia Fault off the coast of Seattle or the San Andreas Fault in California could be set off, causing perhaps billions of dollars in property damage.
So you're talking about the U.S., and it is vulnerable right now. I mean, we've seen these massive earthquakes over the last decade, but the U.S. is vulnerable right now?
Over a span of decades, we do expect the big one to hit. For example, the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 was a 7.8 earthquake. That's the same type of earthquake that devastated Ecuador just the other day, a 7.8. So in some sense, this is a dress rehearsal of what could happen in our own backyard. We have to be prepared.
All right, Professor Kaku, you're a professor of physics. Thanks for breaking it down. I know we wish we had a little bit more time with you, but thanks for joining us. And our thoughts and prayers go out to all those families struggling in Ecuador and Japan this morning.